We do have a speaker today. I hope you all know him, Mr. Matt Courtney, local instructor, business person, all-around good guy, good family. Matt, you're going to talk to us a little bit today about aviation, your background. Come on up. Get likeness, please, sir.
Well, thank you. Again, Matt Courtney. I know most of you, along with quite a few of you. Just like y'all, I just like to fly. Got a family full of pilots. My dad's pilot was Chad Courtney. Flew for Luck Industries for 25 years until GE came in, kind of ended that. He's still flying these Phenom and King Air. My grandfather is also a commercial pilot, New Courtney. He probably one of the higher bear income people in the state, if I had to imagine. So between those two, I got to learn a lot of great habits, and they stopped some bad habits from forming at a really early stage. My interest in aviation, probably surprising. We grew up flying, my brother, my cousin, everybody. We were in it enough that it wasn't that interesting to us as kids. Not until I was probably 20, 22 years old, I found interest. I really liked the duck hunt, and I wanted to be able to find ducks from the air. Being kind of naive on how high and slow you can, or how low and slow you can fly safely at that level. Kind of jumped into it with that purpose of wanting to find ducks and make duck hunting a little bit easier for me.
If you'll talk to Kent Walker, you can find birds in the air.
Yeah, hawks, buzzards, ducks.
Duck buzzards and ducks.
So that's really what kind of spurred it. And with me starting to fly, my cousin, my brother, they wanted to jump in as well. So my grandfather bought us that little 150. I'm sure y'all seen it, the polished aluminum yellow, great flying plane. And we started our little journey. It took me 2.5 years to get my private license. So when I talk to students, I always tell them not to get discouraged. Just try to stay in the book and not lose any of your knowledge. Between 2 duck seasons and having a baby in there, flying got put on the back burner quite a bit.
Where'd you get your private, Matt?
I actually started right here. My first lesson was with Deanna, because my dad let his stuff expire. So we took one with Deanna and one with a guy named Richard Kramer in Longview. And then my dad got his stuff back, and we started flying here at Lufkin. And his technique wasn't exactly on with the modern day, like if you went to American Flyers or big flight school. He was more concerned with turning loose one of his kids in an airplane unsafely. So we didn't focus on the books and everything as much, and that's kind of changed my method of instructing. Fly the airplane first, no matter what. The knowledge part is something I can't teach somebody in that classroom. I can help them answer questions, but you're not going to get that until you really just immerse yourself in those books. And to be honest with you, a lot of it doesn't matter. That test, most of y'all taking the private exam, about 50% of it applies to your daily flying, and the rest is just probably not even that much. The rest of it just applies for passing that FAA exam in one day. Most of that knowledge isn't even going to be used on the oral exam, and the rest of it you'll probably never think of again. They've removed NDBs. Kind of hard to even find one right now. VORs are the next thing. They'll take the VORs out of the private test probably within the decade. They're closing them down so fast because they're too expensive to upkeep, and you can drop a GPS pin, and we're just kind of headed that direction. So I got my private here. Just 1.5 in the summer for about 2 or 3 summers in a row, just hammering it out. Before I finished, I actually passed my test in Gladewater. I was living in Gladewater and driving down to fly with my dad. So my brother and my cousin kind of slowed down, and I talked to them to let me take the Cessna up there, and I finished in Gladewater with Dr. Erickson. I had no business taking the test. I hadn't talked to anybody. I didn't have any friends my age. My generation, there's not a lot of pilots. So I went into that test kind of blind, really didn't know much, and I just stroked the luck. Somehow he passed me, and that's when the learning really started. And I think most of y'all would probably agree that in your training you learn how to pass that knowledge test and get some landings in, scan for traffic, maybe a stall or two. But then after that is when you start learning things. Saturday morning, when everybody's coming for breakfast, you learn that not everybody used the radio the way that you were taught. Or for some of them, maybe somebody used the radio more than you were ever taught.
Don?
Can you-
Hush.
And when you don't have that school or that instructor checking the weather and just seeing how far you would go before he stops you, you don't have anybody to stop you from making that mistake of flying towards the front or a storm brewing up, and you start to really learn to fly. And that's what happened to me in Gladewater. I really learned I didn't know as much as I thought when I didn't have my dad on a tight leash, or him having me on a tight leash, and just kind of giving me just enough room to mess up and then stop. So I finished up there. I was working in the oil field, and I loved flying, wanted to continue at that point. And I lost my job in the oil field, decided I didn't want to go back. 11 years was enough of that. So had a pretty decent break, and my wife and I kind of saved for it, so I went up to American Flyers in Dallas and just did absolute crash course. But it was 6 months, fly as much as I could stand in a day, went instrument, commercial. Actually did those two together. We did the instrument training and then started the commercial time building. And there's not many rooms in Angelina County that everybody would enjoy that experience like this room right here. But it was every day you go out, you've got a 172 assigned to you, and you've got X amount of time, and they don't care where you go. You have to build 200 hours. So you just pick a spot on the map and go. It was an absolute blast, and I'm sure most of y'all would love that. You get to see some neat stuff. Absolutely busy place. Bill, you've been up there quite a bit. It's busiest general aviation single runway in the country, except for I guess Oshkosh in that week. You're in a little 172. I even had the 150 up there at one point, and you might be behind a Gulf Stream and having a Corsair behind you. It's just a really neat place. You get to see some stuff, and a lot of foreign students, so you get to see. First, you get frustrated with them, and then you realize how hard flying is. You see them making mistakes and taking the wrong taxiway. And they're from Mexico, just learned the English language before they came, and they're learning one of the most difficult skills that we can do here, trying to do that in the foreign language. It's really amazing that they can do that. We did commercial instrument up there, had an absolute ball. Took my instrument test. It was actually scheduled on a Friday, and woke up that morning, it was 200 and a half. And I was just praying, please cancel it. Like I'm supposed to be proficient enough, but the last thing I wanted to do was take that exam on minimums. And he canceled it and moved it to the next Wednesday, and I'd already had my commercial scheduled for the next Friday. So I took my instrument, and then 2 days later took my commercial, and walked out of my commercial exam straight into the Flight Instructor Academy and took that test 40 days later. So it was a really crazy 6 months, but that last month there's more studying than I knew a person could possibly do. I mean, that's commercial exams, 1,200 questions. You need to learn pretty much every one of them. The instrument exam is way harder than the commercial. And the flight instructor is 6 different exams that you can take with your ground stuff. So between all that, anybody can do it. You just have to be willing to study a whole lot. And the end goal is that other people will pay for your time in the airplane. And that's one of the greatest things about that you can do flying, I think. So besides that, I love to fly. I'm local at Courtney Aviation. I do little small contract trips, trying to build time to get an ATP, maybe fly King Airs and something bigger. Right now, I'm just kind of stuck in the 182s for traveling. Need to get some bonanza time. Just having fun, enjoying it. I do this part time. I've got a little construction company that unfortunately takes most of my time away from it, but once we kind of hit a lull in that, I'll jump right back into doing as much as possible. But I'm here to do flight instruction, flight reviews. I don't have an instrument instructor. I've got my IGI for ground, but I'm not a very good ground instructor. Pretty open with everybody about that. I love to help people answer their questions, but I'm just not the best classroom type of teacher. But besides that, I'm here if anybody needs help. Love to help you.
Have you had any scary students?
Got a lot of scary students. My favorite is, all but 2 have done this, but I'm angry at Cessna for putting it this way, but your carb heat and your mixture are almost always right beside each other.
Oh, yeah.
And I've had all but 2 pull the mixture, thinking it's the carb heat. And 2 of those were on a short final, and I said, well, you forgot to get your carb heat out. Oh, yeah. So they reach and pull it, and it's so close, you can try to, if you get it back in fast enough, you can crank it, but at 100 feet, it's At that point, I was just smart just to land it. So, fortunately, we had the runway made on both of those, and it was a big problem, but and they never did it again. I mean, that's just one of those.
One of those I learned about flying from that.
And that's how most of the lessons in flying are.
That's why I always said you gotta keep power off landings.
Yeah, power off. Yeah, that's. Danny and I hammered those pretty hard the other day. Put him through the ringer on it. It's that's my favorite thing to practice. You can get out there and hammer out 10, 12 landings in an hour, and if, most likely the first one's going to be about the same as the last one. So I like to throw in all the things that could happen. If you can do power off 180s for an hour straight, you can definitely land one with a motor. I guess my main thing I try to push, coming from my dad and my grandfather, is not exactly the FAA approach, but I like close and high approaches. I like to be able to make the runway no matter what. I don't like to count on the engine because I bounce around planes quite a bit, and sometimes you don't know the maintenance history or anything about that. So I trust airspeed a lot more than I do a Continental engine. So try to keep it high and tight.
Cool. My runway's real smooth if you need to use it.
I love to.
Okay.
Love to.
I thought it had a hog wallet in it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
you got this?
They're still there, but
What kind of mistakes do your new pilots make after they've gotten 150, 250 hours?
Checklist.
Yep.
I'd say that's your number one. Everybody gets comfortable and skips the checklist. And this was 2013 when I read the article that 46% of the incidents that year have been stopped by checklist. And it can be descending, not adjusting your mixture. It's amazing, and I'm guilty of it too. I mean, I've put in 360-something hours instructing that 172. I know that checklist backwards and forwards, but sooner or later I'm going to skip something. So I try to keep it out. And that's actually the fastest way for somebody to fail a check ride now, is missing the check.
Where's carb heat required, which engine requires carb heat on approach?
On approach,
Yeah.
almost all the 172 by Lycoming and Continental, when you get out of the green under 2,000 RPMs, they recommend it.
Recommended, but it doesn't do much good in Lycoming. It doesn't do it's not near as important in Lycoming as it is in Continental, because the intake air comes through the crankcase on Lycoming and it doesn't on Continental. So according to Commander Hamlin, do you know Commander Hamlin?
No, I don't know.
You don't know John Hamlin?
Oh, yeah, I have.
John says, I only use carb heat, you only need to use carb heat on my Lycoming engine when there's visible moisture.
And on your check ride, you do it anyway. I told him that, I'm using it.
Anyway, that's what he said.
Yes, sir.
You can
But
tell
you
your
know,
students, like my guy that gave me my first medical, he said, so you want to be a pilot? I said, yes, sir. He said, well, you might make one if you survive the first 200 hours.
That's it.
And that's just about the best way to explain it.
Yeah, they probably, it's kind of cliche, but the license to learn, that's exactly what it is. You really don't learn until you get up there and you're by yourself and you don't have anybody to bail you out of a mess up. And I'm sure everybody remembers the first time they soloed, and you get up there and you're like, man, I'm not real sure this was a good idea. That's kind of how it goes.
I've asked everybody that's been up here, what's your most interesting aviation story? Scary, exciting? What's the one you put at the top of the list?
Check ride he gave you the other.
As far as fun, flying into Vail with my dad, and we were in the Mustang, the Citation Mustang, about 2 years ago. Fairly clear, still IFR, but flying through those mountains, landing at Vail or Eagle was one of the neatest flying experiences. Scariest was doing a cross country, left Addison, went up to Oklahoma, to Norman, had lunch, and we needed to add a little time, so we stopped by Shepherd when they were doing the jet pilot training. And they let us in with 24 different jets in the pattern, and they warned us to look out. We were just laughing, like, what are we going to do? We're going 100. So, and they kind of almost used us as I guess for radar or target tracking, and they would come take off and they would just roll over the top of us. And
What were you in?
I was in a 172.
Yeah.
So it was interesting. It was really scary until we realized that they're extremely fast. But the scary part of it is most of those guys had less time than we did. they put them in there pretty quick. So I think they go from a T6 to those, what they do?
T-38.
T-38s, and they're in there before 225 hours or so. So we had more time than them, but they were having a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Chad, I was surprised you didn't say weather, because, you know, the thing is, you know, that gets most people is not checklists, it's weather. People flying into stuff they shouldn't be flying, or trying to land and stuff that's beyond their capability.
So do that later.
You make chicken decisions and turn around and you go home.
I've only had one that gave me a problem about weather. Most of them are so scared of it that they're overly cautious, which is great. I love it, and I try to keep them that way. But I've only had one that he took off on a solo without calling me first to Crockett. When it got to Crockett, it was 1,400. Still VFR, but he didn't have any business going.
Yeah, there's towers over there on most of that, so.
Most of them are so scared of weather, if we can keep it that way, it'd be perfect.
Cool. Any other questions for him?
Good job.
Well, thank y'all. Thanks for letting me come talk.